Back in the spring of 1872, out on the Montana frontier, I stumbled into this dusty little trading post smelled like pine sap and desperation, and there she was, up on that rickety auction block, head covered in a burlap sack, hands tied like she was some forgotten parcel from the wagon train. The auctioneer, this sleazy fellow with a mustache that looked like it had seen better days, hollered out, "$2 for the mystery bride, says she'll cook, clean, and keep quiet was talking the gamble." Laughter rippled through the crowd of roughnecks and drifters, folks who'd lost more than they'd won crossing the Rockies. But me, Elijah Thorne, a lonesome timber cutter with calluses thicker than my regrets, I raised my hand. Hell, I wasn't buying a face, I was giving his soul a chance, or so I told myself, though deep down, it was loneliness gnawing at me like a winter wolf. We hitched up my mule and headed to my cabin up in the Bitterroot Hills, her silent as a shadow, sack still tied tight. Every time the wind tugged at it, she'd clutch it closer, like letting go meant letting the world judge her all over again. That first night, I set out stew by the fire, not pushing, just saying, "Eat if you're hungry, no strings." And she did, slipping spoonfuls under that cloth without a word, but her breathing steadied, like she'd forgotten what kindness tasted like. Then, as the embers glowed low, her voice slipped out, soft and familiar, "Lydia Voss," and damn if it didn't hit me like a felled tree. 3 winters back, I'd twisted my ankle chasing logs in a blizzard, collapsed in the snow thinking that was it. But someone dragged me to a cave, built a fire, fed me bitterroot tea, all while hiding under a sack, just like hers. Never saw her face, but that voice, it wrapped around my fever dreams. Savon me from the cold that wanted to claim me for good. I didn't say nothing then, just let the memory simmer, wondering if fate was playing a cruel joke or handing me a second shot. Days turned to weeks, and Lydia started opening up slow, like the wind ice sitting by the creek one morning. She finally pulled off that sack, revealing a scar twisting down her cheek, ugly as sin but honest as the earth. "Boarding house owner back in Wyoming," she whispered, eyes distant. He cornered me, said I owed him more than wages, grabbed me fierce. I shoved back. He cracked his skull on the iron stove. "Folks called it murder," said I lured him, but it was survival, pure and raw. Her words hung heavy, fueled by that small-town spite where a woman's word meant less than a man's grudge over lost pride and unpaid debts. They'd auctioned her off to settle his estate, passing her like chattel, the sack of mercy to hide the mark that screamed guilty to every judgmental eye. I nodded, feeling that old ache in my chest. "You ain't poison, Lydia. You're the fire that kept me alive." And something shifted, trust building like a sturdy beam, her laugh coming easier, even joking about my burnt biscuits, while I left her my late ma's blue kerchief, not to cover up, but to wear proud, framlin' her strength like it deserved. But peace don't last in these wilds. Words spread 'bout a scarred runaway with a bounty, and in rode Harlan Slade, a snake-eyed tracker with a badge bought by greed, sniffing around the saloons. Materin heard she's hiding, with some logger worth $50 dead or alive, for justice in that Wyoming mess. He cornered me at the mill one day, smirking, "Thorne, you harboring a killer? Hand her over, or I'll make sure your claim gets reassigned to folks who play nice." His words drip in, with that power-hungry venom, born from years of chasing bounties to line his pockets, seeing folks like Lydia as easy prey in a land where law bent to the highest bidder. We didn't run. Lydia, fire in her eyes, said, "This time, I choose the mask, donning the sack again, not hiding, but bite in, riding out alone on the old trail while I flanked with the sheriff, a decent man tired of Slade's type twisting justice for profit." It went down at dusk in a rocky pass. Slade spurred his horse, snarling, "Gotcha now. You scarred which time to pay for what you done," lunging with rope in hand. But Lydia spun, voice steady through the cloth, "You chase ghosts, Harlan. The real monster's the one who attacks the weak, distracting him just long enough for me and the law to burst from the boulders, guns drawn. Drop it, Slade, or eat lead." He fired wild, cursing, "You hillbillies think you can outsmart me?" But we roped him like the varmint he was, hauling him off screaming about connections that never came. Weeks later, a witness from that boarding house showed up. Old cook named Clara. Guilt eaten her up. I saw it all, hid in the pantry. He attacked first. She fought for her life, Her affidavit cleared Lydia's name, dropping charges like dead weight, all because one soul finally chose truth over fear. We wed under a pine arch I'd built myself, Lydia in a veil stitched from that old sack, embroidered with wildflowers like the scrap she'd left me in the snow. Our vows simple. Through scars and storms, I choose you. Kissin' as rain sprinkled like blessings. But here's the thing that sticks with me was buying her at that auction right. Even if it led to love, or just another chain in a broken system. Makes you wonder about justice out here, where survival blurs the lines. What do y'all think? Did we bend fate, or just trade one cage for another? Drop a comment below, share your take on right and wrong in the Old West, or your own stories of turning pain into power. Hit that subscribe if these tales hit home, and let's keep the conversation going.